have demonstrated that their approach to communication is primarily through displays of power. That is why I am curious, do you have any form of communication with Russia in terms of a dialogue or discussions? Previously, the United States considered Russia a partner in security matters with certain countries, as seen in the Middle East. Does this partnership approach still exist in the current circumstances? Moreover, are they even receptive to your words? Because it appears that their response to our words can only be in Kinzhal missiles. Please excuse my emotional reaction.
No, but you're right to say that because the situation is terrible and unbearable. We are indeed prepared to engage in discussions with Russia, particularly concerning nuclear weapons. Both Russia and the United States possess nuclear capabilities, and it is concerning to witness Russia's irresponsible behavior in this regard. The United States is ready to meet with Russian representatives to explore ways to bring Russia back into the nuclear weapons treaty, enabling us to establish regulations for these weapons. Because we all know that a nuclear war cannot be won and must not be initiated. Therefore, we must make every effort to engage in dialogue and regulate nuclear weapons, ensuring their responsible and safe management.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I also wanted to ask you about your view on Russian propaganda. It is essential for us to monitor it in order to understand what narratives are being promoted and what Russian society is being exposed to. You probably have seen some absurd propaganda from the Russian media, which is full of Kremlin's narratives. As a US citizen and a representative of the State Department, how do you react to such aggressive rhetoric from federal channels? We understand that these channels are saying practically nothing of themselves. They are retransmitting the Kremlin's thoughts when they openly call for a nuclear missile to hit Britain, Germany, and basically all countries that provide weapons and support Ukraine. Such aggressive rhetoric fuels the 140 million people living in Russia and watching this every day. How do you personally feel about this? Why do they do this? Who is it aimed at? And are those threats taken seriously in your country specifically, as well as in Europe?
Well, it's irresponsible rhetoric. It's first of all tough to hear because they talk about nuclear weapons. It evokes memories of all time when the possibility of a nuclear war was a constant worry, particularly during the existence of the Soviet Union. I remember when I was in school, we all thought nuclear war could happen at any moment. Later was a period of time when cooperation led to agreements on nuclear disarmament, which brought some reassurance. Unfortunately, in recent times, especially following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, we have witnessed the resurgence of such irresponsible statements. It is disheartening to hear this rhetoric once again. But what I can say, not personally, but as the representative of the State Department, is that we are monitoring the situation. While we hear statements from the Kremlin about the intention to station nuclear weapons in Belarus, we have not observed any indication that Russia is preparing to use it or has used these weapons. So this is serious, but we will continue to monitor this situation.
I want to go back to my suggestion of calling Russia a terrorist state because it's difficult to call what is happening now in Ukrainian cities anything but terrorism. After all, it bears little resemblance to conventional hostilities. The attacks on innocent civilians, including kindergartens and hospitals. Well, I'm sure I don't have to tell you you've seen it all. And recently, I found some interesting quotes regarding this. During a current discussion with United States Senator Lindsey Graham, Graham, Antony Blinken was reminded that some senators have proposed declaring the Russian Federation a country that is sponsor of terrorism. Senator Graham expressed the idea that such a designation could deter countries like China from providing weapons or any other help to Russia. To the question of whether Russia would be declared a state sponsor of terrorism, Blinken responded with, "Never say never." And so my question is, what is stopping the US from taking this step after the European Parliament, which already declared Russia to be a state sponsor of terrorism? What is such a sticking point?
When it comes to holding Russia accountable, our actions to prosecute and address the situation speaks for themselves. Moreover, the measures and sanctions we have imposed on Russia are robust, even suppressing what would have been implemented had Russia been officially recognized as sponsor of terrorism by the United States. Thus, designation Russia as such would not fundamentally alter the actions we are currently undertaking. However, it is crucial to emphasize that our shared goals remains the same, is to ensure that those responsible for perpetrating evil are held accountable. This objective unites us in Ukraine, America and Europe. The United States is collaborating with all our partners, is actively gathering evidence of the crimes committed by Russia. And this evidence will be crucial in future tribunals to ensure that those who have committed and continue to commit these crimes face appropriate punishment. Putting an end to this war and enabling Ukrainians to live in peace is of utmost importance.
But how long can it take from a political decision to the legal consequences, given that the same special tribunal needs the appropriate legislation to be established? There has not been such a precedent since the Second World War, so we have to start from scratch. What period of time and what levels of responsibility are possible? Is it the people who carried out the orders? Or do you actually see punishing the top of the Kremlin, those who created this whole situation and started this war? Or will it be more like a trial in absentia, because we understand that in order to try a person, they actually need to be transferred to a place where the trial will take place? And is that possible?
Well, I don't want to make any guesses at the moment because our primary focus should be on ending this war. It is clear that Putin initiated this war with his decision to invade Ukraine. The continuation of this war rests solely on Putin and his choices. And therefore, Putin must take the necessary steps to end the conflict by withdrawing troops from Ukraine, allowing Ukrainians to live peacefully. We are well aware that Putin bears responsibility for initiating this war. However, it is also vital to gather evidence, as there are various individuals and military personnel involved in committing these crimes. Those responsible for these crimes must be held accountable, and justice must be served. Our commitment lies in seeking justice and ensuring that such violations are not allowed to persist.